Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show India Fights Back, where we talk about the way India has tackled all the challenges and is tackling in terms of COVID-19 pandemic. Now today we're going to talk about wastewater surveillance for COVID-19. In fact, a study based on surveillance of untreated wastewater at 4 sewage treatment plants in Gandhinagar has revealed that local administration can be forewarned by a lead of up to 2 weeks of an impending spike or decrease in COVID-19 cases by such periodic surveillance. So we'll try and understand more about this method, that is wastewater surveillance, and we have the experts joining us on this particular show. For more on this, we're joined by Professor Manish Kumar, who is Assistant Professor for Earth Sciences at IIT Gandhinagar, part of the team which conducted this particular study there. We also have with us Dr. Jagadish Deshpande, ICMR Chair for Disease Elimination. Another study has been conducted by their team as well. And we also have with us Professor Shailendra K. Saxena. He is Professor and Head of the Center for Advanced Research at King George Medical University, KGMU in Lucknow. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha Television. And let me begin with you, Professor Manish Kumar. Let's start by understanding more about this wastewater surveillance method and what does your study say about it?
Yeah. So wastewater surveillance is a kind of fingerprinting, right? Anything that is in our body or we excrete goes to the wastewater. So by taking the sample of the wastewater, you can actually predict what is going on in a given community. So it was used for polio also, to whether the polio has eradicated or not, and it has been used very effectively. Now, at this point, when this COVID-19 situation has come, we try to find it in the wastewater. Now, the gene of the SARS-CoV-2 is it is made up of single-stranded RNA. So in water, when it reaches, it broke down into the genes. So we detect the three genes and then try to say that whether the virus is present or not. And if once we will be able to detect whether virus is present or not, we will be able to tell it is more present or less present, how it is fluctuating. So this is the basic, the principle behind it. And using which in May 2020, we tried to predict how to have this method done. And for that, we needed a concentration method, and we detected those viruses. And now we can tell that what is the temporal variation. That is what we can do. And so last 6 months, since we were the first in India who could detect the successfully and reported it in wastewater, then since then we were monitoring it. So now we reported our data and try to match it with the active cases. And we found that 1 week to 10 days, even up to 14 days, we can get the early warning that there is going to be a peak in COVID-19 cases.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's a good news to hear. There another surveillance method. Let's bring in Dr. Jagadish Deshpande as well here. Dr. Deshpande, your team also seemingly conducted a similar survey and almost on the same lines. So what's your perspective on that? And also what Professor Kumar is pointing out, this seemingly can be another way to try and detect COVID-19 and other zoonotic diseases as well.
Yes. In fact, in ICMR, we have used sewage surveillance for detecting poliovirus transmission. And that we have established way back 21 years back. From year 2000 till today, we are doing polio surveillance. We call it as supplementary surveillance to our routine AFP surveillance. And we have shown in Mumbai, how the polio viruses from different places get transmitted across states, and how even the strains change, and those can be detected in sewage. And also we detected how the polio viruses disappeared from the patient's cases as well as from the sewage, and that those data were used for certification of polio eradication. So yes, supplementary surveillance is an important aspect of any disease surveillance and epidemiology and taking certain decisions. COVID
Okay.
or coronavirus was reported in stool samples of a small number of patients. And that gave a thought that now we can try to find out coronavirus in sewage samples also. Uh, However, it need not be the excreted virus. The respiratory specimens or respiratory secretions are also gulped down, so that virus also will be excreted, and therefore coronavirus can be found in wastewater.
Okay.
So we started working on detecting coronavirus in sewage in early May, and because we were doing polio surveillance, we had pre-COVID period samples, and then we had post-COVID period samples, and we tested and standardized the method using these samples. We were able to detect poliovirus in sewage samples, and following that, we have now established a continuous surveillance for coronavirus in Mumbai city.
Okay.
The polio surveillance was expanded across the country when we first established, and then it is used globally also. Similarly, the coronavirus surveillance, we are checking the value of sewage surveillance for coronavirus understanding coronavirus epidemiology. We need some more data to explain the facts. So presently, we are collecting the data. We started collecting data from May onwards. Our first paper has already appeared in Indian Journal of Medical Research, which tells you about the exact methodology. So other people who may be wanting to repeat our method and detect coronavirus, it will be possible for them to use the published methodology. Thank you.
Okay, okay, that's also really interesting to note there, as what Dr. Deshpande is pointing out. Let me bring in Professor Saxena here. Professor Saxena, from your point of view, how effective do you believe this sort of method of surveillance can be in the present ongoing pandemic? That's the COVID-19 pandemic situation. That's the wastewater surveillance. How effective can it be for us to know, or for the policymakers to understand the prevalence of COVID-19 in a particular catchment area, or the spike or the decrease in both ways?
Normally, the environmental surveillance of this wastewater, or including the sludge material, has a very long history in microbiology for testing the pathogens. Not only for this coronavirus, but even earlier, as Dr. Deshpande said, for polio. We have seen even for this antimicrobial resistance, which we oftenly and normally do. We have also done it for several other enteroviruses, and now with the COVID also. And a couple of countries like there's a list of European countries which is already using this method, where they can actually find out 2 weeks ahead, 7 to 14 weeks, which is say that whether the corona is going to come. But the limitation of this is that we are limiting to only one disease at a time. If this can be a wide level, it can be used at the Nagar Nigam level, or metropolitan level, or whatever that kind of system. If that generates in, this can be really a very useful tool, which is actually in place for years, but have never been propagated as for the first time we are seeing for the coronavirus. So I personally feel it's really a very encouraging development for a country like us. However, we do have a limitation at two levels. Number one, we do have a lot of people who are still not connected with the sewage system. That means they have their limited sewage lines, or they have a soak pit. So that means that sewage is not going into the community sewage lines. And when we are collecting the water from there, we do not have that what is exactly going to happen in that. Second group is those people where a lot of pesticides or other things are used, and we may not get, like for example, in Lucknow city, recently some tests have been done, and they haven't been able to find out the prevalence of COVID genome in SARS-CoV-2 genome in the samples we have received. But how actually in a low resource setting like us in India, how this can become unanimous policy that whether this can go in a main system. And it also has a crucial role. There's no social stigmatization because there's a pooling of same samples. There is no individualization that this is a sample coming from XYZ house or XYZ locality. However, there is the overall picture of that city or the town wherever we are getting the samples. So there are both the ways it is good. But yes, it is really a low cost technology which can be used to predict the pandemics of.
Okay. Indeed, interesting aspect out there brought in by Professor Saxena as well, that this does give us the information at macro level, obviously not at micro level, but then there are certain limitations which Professor Saxena spoke about. Let me bring in both Professor Manish as well as Dr. Deshpande one by one. But let me start with you, Professor Manish, in terms of the points raised by Professor Saxena here, vis-a-vis the limitations of this particular method and the fact that, this gives us a sort of a macro representation, be it at a taluka level, at a district level, or maybe, at a small town level in the catchment area. But then the other methods will have to be applied, as in this is sort of a supplementary method which can be used. Do you agree, Professor Manish?
Actually, I would partially agree, and I have little point to disagree with. Of course, in general, I agree whatever the summary that Professor Saxena has put. Let me tell you some of the wonder stories or success things about this wastewater surveillance. In Japan, my colleague and collaborator, you can say that they have detected SARS-CoV-2 when the reported case was less than 1 per 100,000 people, which means that there were only less than 1 case per 100,000 of the people was reported, but the wastewater showed there is a gene. The wastewater showed positive results. So that's the precision. That's the precision because RT-PCR multiply it million times. And so even if the fraction of the gene, it will be not going unnoticed. Then the second thing is that in USA, again, my collaborator and they have Kyle Beebe team. He is a well-known virologist. His team has told me that recently they are getting the positive sample without concentrating the water sample. I'm sure that Professor Deshpande and as well as the Professor Saxena knows that to detect those genes, we need to concentrate the water sample. And they said that, now we don't need to even concentrate the sample and gene is coming. The water is, we are able to detect it. They also added that it is not a good story to tell, but it also tells the strength of this technique, right? Even sometimes people argued that if concentration method goes this and that, and initially there was reason that, okay, we have to bring 1,000 liter and out of that make 1 liter, but it was not the case and like that. Then, so what I would, then there was the third one is that, and that is the one I want to mention last, is that the universities like IIT Gandhinagar also, they are very much worried about their that you are giving or other kid is depending on you. So then in the US also and here in IIT Gandhinagar also, we are monitoring it continuously. Bi-weekly samples are taken. So in the US, what they found is that they detected in the water, wastewater, and then they try to find, it is positive, so who might be the suspect or who might have got infected? And what is found is that person didn't have the symptoms, but that person was already infected.
So asymptomatic.
So wastewater, So which means, no, not asymptomatic. For symptoms, to develop symptom also, we need some incubation period. Only then the symptoms will appear.
Okay, so what you're saying, Professor Kumar, is that it was detected much before the symptoms could appear.
Yeah, so which means that this is also a strength of if I would, the devil's advocate, that it is also the positive point of that. However, our consensus is that it is wastewater surveillance can help you to detect hotspot. can help you whether there is anybody in this community is infected or not, even knowing or non-knowing, asymptomatic and non-symptomatic. So that is the strength. And that's why I was telling that maybe this method will be very useful for like Parliament or Rajya Sabha, where you can, we think that there is nobody infected and we take all the monitoring and temperature test. And but still, is it right or not? Why not to have a supplementary? So yes, I agree with Professor Saxena that this is a very great supplementary method. And other than other monitoring system, it has to be taken up and added to the surveillance system.
Okay. Let's hear in from Dr. Deshpande as well. Dr. Deshpande, your views there on the limitation part and the ones the positives enunciated by Professor Kumar.
See, our situation, environmental conditions, personal hygienes are greatly different from what habits are in Japan or in other developed countries. Whatever comes out of the mouth or nose goes into the wash basin. Whatever is excreted goes through the sewerage system. So everything gets collected and is in closed sewerage systems. In India, that does not happen. Okay, so that is one of the different point from the developed countries.
Okay.
The second thing is in case of coronavirus infections, the disease also comes out very quickly. A person reports because he starts feeling breathlessness and so on. So medical aid is also sought by the people very quickly. And if we say that maybe 80% are non-symptomatic, 20% need doctor support, then out of every 100 infections, 20 are going to tap the doctor's aid. In many other diseases, the infections are almost silent for very long period of time. So in this case, we will have to see what is the benefit of sewage surveillance. It will show whether the virus is present or not, but simultaneously patients will also appear in the community. In US also, now they are detecting in sewage, but they have 200,000, 50,000 to 100,000 cases a day. So similarly, when we had high coronavirus transmission in the country, say in month of May, June, up to September, October, we could detect the virus in sewage. What is now needed is whether that virus disappears, when the virus disappears. And when we are looking at lower concentration of virus in the sewage, we will need concentration methodologies. We can't use the same non-concentration methodology to say virus has completely disappeared, because when the infections will decline, the viral load in sewage will also decline, and to find out that decreasing load, we may need concentration methodology.
Okay.
And when you say concentration methodology, PCR is required, a setup of laboratory is required, expansion becomes a big issue, and therefore what is the benefit out of sewage surveillance needs to be weighted out and then expanded into the country.
Okay.
So it's a good surveillance system. It should be used as a supplementary surveillance system and should be used wisely.
Okay. Indeed, that does sum up various aspects of it. Let's have concluding comments from Professor Saxena here as well. Professor Saxena, you've been patiently hearing both Professor Kumar as well as Dr. Deshpande in terms of, as Dr. Deshpande summed it up, that it's a wonderful secondary surveillance system, and it can be scaled up, but you should be used in a wise manner, because the situation is entirely different in India vis-a-vis other countries. Maybe examples which were quoted by Professor Kumar earlier.
Yes, I completely agree what you say, that all the examples from the Japan or America or even a lot of European countries, even the Netherlands has already taken this as one of the important, program in their sanitization issues. But these are all high resource setting programs. The population versus the resources available are quite, scarce there. There's no limitation that they can afford whatever they want to do. In a country like India, where we are affording more than 135 crore people, and even we are not able to give the basic wash like water, sanitization, and hygiene related activities, the pure water and all that thing. This is a technique or technology which is really a very useful. There's no doubt about this. But the cost versus benefit needs to be evaluated very sensibly, judiciously, that whether we can do it or not. Yes, for doing it, Parliament, no issues. Yes, they can afford, but that will be limited to a particular building or the people coming to that. However, even if you get a sample positive in a Parliament, there might be a lot of visitors coming to the Parliament. So that will still not give the real picture of the Parliament, that whether the person from the Parliament was the positive or somebody who came as a visitor to the Parliament was the positive.
Okay.
So that we have to have a localized area where we can actually see that yes, there is a sample which is positive and we can get a picture. So of course, as I said, the macro level, because we were willing to see that whether in a city or a town, there are few cases which are the representative of the disease. Yes, this is a wonderful technology, no doubt about that. But how we can implement it in our routine program of the WASH, that is water, sanitization, and hygiene, that is an important risk versus cost benefit, and that we have to evaluate. We also have to see that whether this can be implemented in our routine program, where the cost of the BSL2 and all those making the facility, because even the wastewater evaluation also needs at least a BSL2 level facility where this can be evaluated. Whether the concentration is required or not, that. It's not only the third thing is that we are having the water which is polluted with a lot of other contaminants. In a country like Japan and America, the water is quite clean, and at least the water coming from the household areas are much cleaner than the water which is going to the other places, and nothing is going into the river. Here, everything is going into the river directly. So the rivers itself are highly contaminated. So the examples taking from those countries and implementing as it is in our country may not be a very judicious at this moment. But yes, this can be looked in a broader picture, that how we can utilize the technology and how we can actually go and proceed with a sense of urgency, keeping in our mind that this is a low-cost technology available with us, indigenous technology, which is requiring less efforts to find out whether a city or a place is going to be effective or going to be having the novel infection in that area. That can be done. Let's say in railways, that might be one of the very good example whether it can be done. But again, the problem is the same. That how will you find out that the stool or excreta or the urine is from which particular station you have actually collected? Although now the biologically covered toilets have been used in the train also.
Okay.
Yes. So those kind of things we have to see in a broader perspective in a country like us.
Okay. Indeed, as our panelists were pointing out, thank you so much once again, Professor Kumar, Professor Saxena, as well as Dr. Deshpande. As all of you pointed out, as far as wastewater surveillance is concerned, it indeed is a wonderful, supplementary method of surveillance for diseases like COVID-19, and it does give us results as well, but it is to be used wisely and depends upon the requirements of a particular area vis-a-vis the various methods available there as well. We'll come back again with a different topic, but before we go, let us also once again remind you about a few steps which all of us need to take, that is the COVID appropriate behavior. 3 simple steps: wear a face mask, wash your hands properly, and also maintain social distancing, that is physical distancing of 6 feet. These are the 3 simple steps which will keep all of us safe. Thank you so much.